So I was sitting and watching Loki on Disney Plus when I saw something. The Alligator Loki variant popped up and I thought, hey, I can make that. So I popped up and went out to my workshop. And for this project you'll need a box cutter, some kind of tape, painter's tape, duct tape will work too, a heat gun, a small piece of EVA foam, I think I used 4mm, and a 6mm EVA rod, some tinfoil to make a template with, contact cement and a Sharpie, a scrap of cardboard will be useful too, some Plasti Dip, some gold rub and buff, and some clear spray paint. You'll need some super glue and some faux leather scraps. And of course an alligator. I think this might be a crocodile, but it'll still work. Some tools that'll be helpful but aren't necessary are a Dremel, a bandsaw, and a belt sander. So let's get to building. First we'll need to make a template of his head so we can make a skull cap. Using a small piece of tinfoil, we'll conform it around the head and then start to cover it with tape so we can build up some structure to make a template. Once it's all covered in tape, we'll use some references from the internet and start tracing the shape of the skull cap that we want. Just follow the contours of the head to make a cap that'll fit, and it'll also matches the references from the show. Now that we have the template, we can flatten it out and start to cut it out. We don't need to cut any darts in this to help the template lay flat because we will be heat forming the EVA foam directly to the head of the alligator. Just make sure you're very careful when using a knife. Now we can transfer the pattern to our EVA foam. Lay it nice and flat on the foam and trace it. I couldn't find my silver Sharpie, so I had to use the black, so it's a little hard to see. I was able to get it traced, and now I cut the shape out from the larger piece so I can cut around the template and get the shape I want. And I started to cut it out with the knife, but I was getting a really rough cut, so I moved over to the bandsaw, but you can 100% do this with just a sharp knife. So now that we have our shape cut out, we're going to use the heat gun to heat it up and make the foam malleable and then press it onto the alligator head to create a perfect fit. Don't forget to heat both sides. Now that the foam is nice and warm, we can press it firmly onto the head to create a perfect fit. Be careful not to burn your hand. And now that the foam has conformed to the shape of the head, it fits very well. If you didn't get the fit perfect on your first try, you can always reheat the foam and try again. I'm going to use the Dremel with this grinding stone just to round over the edges of the cap to make it look a little bit more finished. Now we're going to pull out that scrap of cardboard and sketch out the shape of the horns that we want. I'm going to use this EVA foam dowel to make the horns. I start by using the knife to trim the ends of the horn into a point. I make multiple passes, trimming away little pieces at a time until I get a more horn shape. Now you could clean this horn shape up with a Dremel, but if you have a belt sander, it's a much easier way to do it. Just lightly press the horn into the belt and rotate until you get the shape you like. Now we're going to use the heat gun again to heat up the foam. This will allow us to curl the foam into the shape of the horn that we want. So just heat it up, place it over your template, and hold it in position and let it cool, and the foam will retain that shape. Now that we have the horns, let's see how it looks. I think it's coming along nicely. Next, I'm going to use some contact cement to attach the horns to the skull cap. You could do this with super glue too if you don't have contact cement. Just place a small dab of cement where you want the horns to attach and on the bottom of the horns, and let it dry for a while, and then you can attach the horns to the skull cap. To make it easier to seal the helmet, I'm going to place a piece of tape on a scrap piece of wood and then press the helmet on the tape and use the wood as a handle. Now we can seal the helmet with some Plasti Dip and let it dry. Now that the Plasti Dip is dry, we can turn the helmet gold. I'm going to use some Rub and Buff, but Rub and Buff has a shelf life and mine is pretty old. I had to cut open the bottom of the tube in order to get enough out. Luckily I had just enough to finish this helmet. So once you rescue your Rub and Buff from the tube, it's as easy as just rubbing the gold all over the helmet to turn it nice shiny gold. Because Rub and Buff is a wax that could rub off, I'm going to use some clear spray paint just to seal it in and protect the gold. Just give it a quick spray and then let it dry. Now we can attach a strap to the bottom of the helmet. I used a knife to make some little scratches so the glue has something to bite into. Then just add a few drops of super glue and press the faux leather into the glue, making sure not to glue yourself to the helmet in the process. And repeat the same thing for the second strap. Now we can try the helmet on our alligator. That looks pretty good to me. Now, Alligator Loki and myself can enjoy some more shows. But of course, he gets to pick what we watch. Let me know in the comments below who your favorite Loki variant is. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next video.